Hello and welcome to Dubai Real Estate Unplugged, the podcast where we dive deep into the trends, insights and predictions shaping one of the most dynamic property markets right here in Dubai. I'm your host, Charlie Bannan, Managing Director here at Haus. Today, we're diving deep into Q1 2025 Dubai's property market. With me are three powerhouses within the industry: Clementine Munro, Sales Director; Paul Sharland, Associate Director; and Jake Walton, our Leasing Director. We're breaking down this quarter's trends from sales surges to off-plan momentum, rental yields, community hotspots, and what it means for both buyers and investors. Hopefully by the end of this, you'll have insights to buy smarter, invest wiser, and optimize your rental income. Let's get into it. Welcome, guys.
Welcome.
Thanks for joining me. I suppose talking at the beginning, Haus is coming off of its biggest and best quarter since opening its doors, and that's backed up in the data. If we look at what happened Q1 this year in comparison to Q1 last year, we had 27% growth year on year on the total value, coming in at 154 billion dirhams. Residential sales, Clem, your world, the value increased 37.3% year on year, and the residential transactions up 21.1% year on year. When hearing that, I suppose, does it drive confidence? It shows momentum for sure. What do you think, Paul, from your vast investment and real estate experience? Does that scream confidence, or?
To me, it's just another sign of what's happening with Dubai. And for instance, if we go back to last year, all of the big news stories of last year, from the US elections to the British elections, all of them went in Dubai's favour. So whenever we talk about, say, Dubai potentially slowing down, it always seems to be that another segment of the world's market comes along. We had the Russians in 2022. I remember back then being told categorically that all the buyers are Russian. Once the Russians stop buying, the market's going to slow down. I actually remember in 2022, 2% of our client base was Russian, and we had a record year. That just goes to show that there's all parts of the world buying in Dubai as we know it now.
Mm-hmm. So it's more media-driven skepticism.
I believe so. It's just Dubai is continually becoming more and more popular around the world for more people, and it's going to continue.
Definitely. And are you seeing that on the residential side?
I think a lot of it as well is wishful thinking. We have homeowners who are, and I empathise, priced out of a market that was their number one choice. Mm-hmm. So I think people, if they say enough negativity, perhaps it will become true, but that's not actually what we're seeing.
Yeah. Jake, from the rental side?
Yeah, it's difficult not to sound repetitive, because every time we have a market report or a quarterly review, things seem to improve, things seem to get better and better, and more people have moved to Dubai in that quarter. So yeah, onwards and upwards.
So Paul, specifically in the off-plan world for Q1, there was a 24.6% jump in off-plan transactions, 24,920 deals worth a total of just over 53 billion dirhams. What continues to drive it in your opinion, and I suppose what people listening who are interested in making an investment, what's good? What would you buy? What's your eyes on?
Well, I'd say for us, the general feeling for why off-plan is doing so well is, for instance, you look at Europe now, just in the last 4 to 6 weeks, effectively their protection for the last 70 years has been taken away. So their current defence spending for Europe on average is below 1%. That's got to go to 3%. Unfortunately, that means that there's going to spend billions and billions, which means welfare cuts, which is going to make the poor more miserable and more unhappy people. It means the rich are going to be paying more taxes, which they're obviously not going to want to be paying. So what we are actually seeing now is a renewed interest from new buyers from Europe who are unhappy with the situation going on in Europe, which we can see going on for at least 10 years, way past Trump. And they're looking for somewhere to go, somewhere for a better life and more affordable life, and they're looking at Dubai.
So that kind of suggests that it doesn't really matter what's going on in the economy, even in Dubai or the world, just simply because more people are moving here. It's going to put pressure on the pricing to make it go up when it comes to supply and demand.
Yeah, it's just that what we're seeing is, there's been the sort of the older buyers, but it seems that every sort of few months you get like a brand new buyer. So what I'm seeing is, like 2 years ago, people who were buying in Dubai, they had friends that never would have considered Dubai. The people who've bought have been here for a couple of years, having a great life, telling all their friends. Now the people who never would have considered it, now they are considering it. That is a massive shift from what it used to be.
Clem, from the residential side, is that echoed? Is that exactly the same? Is it more, okay, Bob and his family have moved here. Now Bob's friends from X part of the world outside of Dubai now also want to move here. Is that common in your world as well?
It is, and I definitely see, even anecdotally, I've got quite a lot of friends who have always said they would never come. And now I'm getting phone calls saying, where are your kids at school? Where are the places to live? Because the truth is there's a lot of factors that are driving people here. But I still think what's not talked about enough is the value proposition that Dubai offers. So if we look in our market reports at an area like Al Fajjan, which is just about 15 minutes south of where I live, so about 15 minutes south of the marina. I live in Emirates Living, which is quite a traditional community within Dubai, but Al Fajjan just 15 minutes away with a top school, closer to Abu Dhabi, closer to the new airport. It's 1,400, it's blending out at 1,400 dirhams a square foot, which is about 300 British pounds a square foot, which is remarkable value.
And how does that compare to Emirates Living?
So Emirates Living, you're looking at about 1,000 extra. So you're looking at about £2,400 a square foot.
So why is Al Fajjan 1,000 behind?
I think it's just an up-and-coming area. It probably doesn't have the brand or the postcode or the kind of WASTA that saying you live in Emirates Living does. And arguably the surrounding area around Al Fajjan, there is still a lot of, place-making happening. So plans to develop, but there is still, some patches of desert, and it can be a little bit congested as well.
And I suppose Al Fajjan is more recently coming to market on the back of the off-plan sale. So you guys work very closely together in your marketplace. What Paul's really excited about today, Clem's really excited about in 3 years' time, and also Jake. Probably a little bit after Clem, because it will be sold off-plan resale and then it will go to Jake.
Yeah.
How old are your buyers, Paul? Could you paint a picture of what a typical buyer comes to you as, or is it so vast?
No, I can honestly say with Dubai, I mean, we forget that we're actually lucky. We can, every day of the week, we can deal with a different person from a different country, with a different culture, with a different background, a completely different age. Dubai's appeal is like the rest of the world is looking at it. Mm-hmm. So there's no set precedent of the 20-somethings or the 30-somethings. I mean, one stat which I think is telling. My boys went to school in Dubai. They went to Jess Ranches. Now, years ago, when we came here in 2005, when the kids got to 18, they'd leave Dubai. They go back to Europe. They go back to Australia. They go back to America. Traditionally, 3 in 10 would actually come back to Dubai. Now 9 in 10 come back. So my boys, they left, they went back to London, one travelled, went to Ibiza, went to Asia, etc. One got a job in London for 18 months. They were both out of the country for maximum of 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, and they've both come back, and all their friends have come back, all working here, all happy here, all settling down here. That's the difference.
And they're coming back for a career or for the lifestyle?
They're just coming back. They're going away, and they're going, say, to the UK or Europe and saying, what's this tax? What's this weather? What's this people getting stabbed when they go to the pub? I don't really like this. I think I'll go back to Dubai.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
When you put it like that. Claire, moving on to a little bit more on the residential side. Bayu kindly dubbed us as market leaders across Arabian ranches and Tilal Ghaf. I think that was for properties listed.
And I think what that talks to is also House & House's ability to change with the market. So we are absolutely legacy brokers in the legacy community that is Arabian ranches. Our founders all live there, and we were kind of treading those streets as the business opened. But if you look at somewhere like Tilal Al Ghaf, where Paul and his team would have had tremendous success selling off plan, we were a nobody in that community about 18 months ago. But by doing things the House & House way, the Beirut way, maximum transparency, be willing to kind of grow slowly with the community. Since July of 2024, we are the number one lead generator in that community. We're also the number one transacting agency in that community. And that's everything from the twin villa townhouses all the way up to some of those really impressive mansions. And again, I think that talks, as Paul said, how we've grown as a business. We're not just dealing with one type of customer. We're dealing with everyone, from your first-time buyers who are waiting for handover to be able to get in, maybe getting a valuer to come in on a snagging appointment and make sure that they can buy the house the day it hands over, all the way up to people who are buying mansions from us at 100 million from a broker.
Paul's got recent success in that world. Big smile on his face.
Yeah, but I can't say too much about it at the moment, I'm afraid. Too many NDAs at the moment.
Clem, if one of your friends or a family member of yours come to you and said, I want to buy a house, I want to sell a house, what's one tip you've got for me in this market what would you warn them with or prepare them by saying?
I didn't know you were going to ask this, and it's going to sound insincere, but the absolute truth is find an exclusive selling agent and find an exclusive buying agent. Because if you're a buyer and you're sitting on a portal late in the evening and you're inquiring on all these homes, you've suddenly got every hungry commission-only broker calling. There's only limited sellers in the market, and they're all calling them. And someone's remembered about you one thing, someone's remembered about you another thing. And so it sounds like there's loads of buyers in the market. And so what that does to that seller is it gives them a lot of confidence that there's a lot of buyers coming. And ultimately you end up bidding against yourself.
No, I agree.
And the same if you're a seller. If you have an exclusive selling agent, their only job is to protect your price. If you have multiple agents in the market, all of them, they're just racing to get a buyer. It's just fingers on buzzers. They're going in blind. And so their job is no longer to protect your price, but their job is just to bring you an offer. And they're two very different things.
So your friends and family are lucky because they know you and you can advise them on who to work with. What would someone who's new to the market or someone that's not so attached to the real estate world, how would they help to decipher who to work with?
That is, I would go to one of the portals. Bayut.com. It's a big portal, and if you are searching either in a price bracket or in a specific community that you think you want to be in, on the right hand side of the page it will have something called a true broker, and those are brokers who are the number one in their community. And that's not number one in our opinion, that's number one in the portal's opinion. And they're using an algorithm, how quickly you respond to calls, how many real life listings you have, star ratings of people who have engaged with you. So it's a really transparent way, and none of us agents have any control, agencies have any control over how that merit is given out. So it gives you a really good transparent indication on who is actually the top agents in that marketplace.
Great advice. I'm sure you've helped someone. Moving away from villas onto the apartments, what's happening in that world? What's exciting?
There's a kind of tale of two stories in Dubai. There's one which is space and size, which is people who perhaps are having children coming back, live with them, children living with them longer, and they are happy to move a little bit further out, go to the suburbs, and that's where we're seeing that growth, Al Fajan, Tilal, Al Ghaf. However, we also have this other side of Dubai, which is comfort and convenience, which is this apartment market, which is this everything on your doorstep, a city within a city. And if we look at somewhere like Dubai Creek Harbour, which is just a masterpiece, it's beautiful, it's landscaped, it's all developed by Emaar, so it has a really similar look and feel. And that is just speaking to people who want that comfort and convenience. They don't need to leave. You've got matcha, you've got yoga, you've got blow dries, you've got dog-friendly nurseries, everything right on your doorstep, and all immaculately delivered by one developer.
It is a great community. And I feel like it hasn't really reached everyone yet. I'm not sure everyone knows about Creek, but if you go down there for lunch or a coffee, it is really, really nice to walk around the area. Jake, over to you on the leasing side. 7.41% is the gross yield citywide. As a return on investment, that's pretty impressive. That's on new contracts only, right? That's not including renewals.
Yeah, that will be on new contracts. Yeah. And as you say, a super healthy return. On a global standard, that is a very healthy return. If you can pay off your investment in under 14 years, essentially, it's pretty good going, right? And it's also not crazy. It's not crazy figures, which shows potentially a more stable market.
Is the market stable in leasing? For pricing?
I would say it's starting to stabilise. We have seen crazy price increases in the last couple of years where there's been, 50% or even 100% in some communities where the prices have gone up. But you're not seeing that as much now, and you are seeing in some communities maybe there is a little bit of an adjustment where prices are coming down slightly as well.
Okay. And over quarter one this year, what areas have stood out to you? What's made some noise? Surprises, good and bad? Yeah,
so JVC, for example, is booming. There's a lot of people. I think we all maybe did our time there. As I lived there personally myself, and there's a lot of people even in our business that live there, and it's maybe not a forever home for a lot of people. So for the rental market, it's very, very strong. There's a lot of transactions. It's a very transient area, people coming and going, and that's showing good rental returns as well. So somewhere like that has been good.
Must be a lot of supply there now.
Yeah, you would think so. Yeah, there is a lot. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of developers in that community, but obviously we're focusing on the more prime development, creating that demand. So yeah, we've had some good success in Q1 in JVC.
I think this is the only time we're going to talk about it on this Q1 review, but there was a drop in rental volume, so minus 11.7%. Why was there a drop in your opinion?
I think it goes back to, the confidence in the market, as Paul and Clementine have stressed earlier. People are now turning to buy much quicker. Maybe they're renewing where they are. Maybe there's a slight lack of supply in the market. There's not as many units coming to the market, so there's not as much option. But the actual price of the rentals has increased in that time. So prices are still going up, not dramatically. So even though volume has gone down, we're still going in the right direction. And
landlord specific, if you were to advise a really good landlord of house and houses on the best way to get the maximum rental return, what would your advice be to them?
I suppose it's heavily linked with the off-plan market, and as Paul is a massive advocate of these new projects that are coming with amazing amenities, amazing facilities, modern designs, possibly gone are the days where you can sit on location on your 20-year-old property, then not do any maintenance, not do any upgrades, because the competition in the market and what's coming to the market is incredible. So people have more choice at their disposal than they used to. So definitely always really well maintain your property. If you can upgrade it in some way to differentiate it in the market, then do so. Just on the whole, be a good landlord, so you actually, agents in the market can promote your property on a more honest basis to their clients as well.
Do you think there's more of a demand for that now than there ever has been, or has that always been your advice?
Well, I suppose that's always been your advice. In the UK, you say bake bread before your buyers come round, right? But if you have a very well maintained property, maybe with maintenance contracts, it's clearly been looked after. You paint it and clean it before the viewings start, and it looks really, really good, then you have a good chance of renting it. That's always been the case. Maybe now more so, as I say, as people are looking for more modern amenities, better facilities, better lobbies, securities, pools, gyms, maybe you have to do a little bit more if you've got an older property in this market. Just planning ahead for all these developments that are going to be handing over, that's your competition now. So maybe you have to differentiate slightly.
Moving on to the commercial space, Gary's not here to speak to it, but he's doing a phenomenal job with our commercial team, which is growing, and over Dubai's total 30.7% year-on-year growth in the commercial value, and there appears to be huge demand across Business Bay and Dubai South. Paul, I was speaking to two guys from London, both in their 50s, and they have made a hell of a lot of money in commercial space in the UK as opposed to residential. Do you think the opportunity lies the same in Dubai? Because they asked me this question, and it's the first time I've seen you since they asked me.
I think it's becoming more relevant now. I think that the last time commercial took off was actually 2007, 2008, when everybody expected everybody to be coming here. And then with the financial crash of September the 15th, 2008, that didn't materialise. So you actually had a lot of commercial space sitting empty for quite a few years. Now, obviously, there's been a massive turnaround in the amount of people who are now living here, which is just nearly touching 4 million now. And obviously the new businesses coming here. So there's definitely an uplift in interest, definitely an uplift in prices.
Do a lot of developers hold the commercial space when they're selling it for themselves to rent out and help build a community? Or is that developer to developer?
Yeah, it's purely developer to developer. And the reason the developer would wish to keep it and just lease it is because then they have control over what can go into that building. For instance, if you had a lovely fantastic apartment block, then you just sold off the retail and you had like a not particularly good supermarket go in, or like a pet store that nobody really wants, that's going to ruin the whole building. But there's the other case for it, that if a developer wants to maximise their profit and get in and out of a project, they're going to just sell it off.
January there was a price dip. If you look at the graph, there was a price dip. What does that mean to you and your opinion of what's to come? Is it something that we can completely ignore, or is it a sign that there's some rough waters ahead?
I think it's a good sign.
Tell me more.
The market's been going up for 4 years. It's got to plateau at some stage. If it carries on going up, it's going to create a bubble just like we had in 2008. So basically, we want the transactional business to go on. We want the sellers to be more realistic, particularly the greedy ones. And we want the buyers, we think they're going to continue to come. So that you put that together, that's what's going to continue.
So these words, plateau, bubble, scary to investors, or it makes them think, right, well, what's actually going on? So when you say them, what do you mean? Like, are we going to plateau? Are we in a bubble?
So basically, there was a massive bubble here in 2007, 2008. I mean, I was here. I mean, literally prices were going up month on month. At the time, everybody was involved in it and everybody thought it was normal. It was really bizarre. We had like institutional investors. We had proper investors, financial guys going, right, we're getting involved in this. So when the crash happened, it affected literally everybody in Dubai, like, has lost money. So like the feeling of this is the best place in the world, a year later it was like it was the worst place in the world. But that can never happen again. When you go back to that time, the population was 1.2 million. Over 70% of the buyers were speculators looking to buy to sell. They weren't end users. They weren't looking to come to Dubai for a home. Even the renters, you know, even the people who were saying they were going to buy long term to rent out, they ended up just flipping because the prices were going up so much. Now you look at the market today, it's just under 4 million. We've got a huge amount of end users coming over. We've got people coming here not for 2 or 3 years, but coming for 5 or 10 years or even longer. The market's massively changed. So for a market to carry on going up like we've seen, you know, any stock market, any market, commodity market in the world, you know, it can't keep on going up. It's impossible. So if it carries on going up, it's much more likely to obviously to come down aggressively, like we saw in 2008. I can see maybe there'd be a slowdown, there'd be a plateau of prices, but that makes a healthy market. That's what a maturing market should be doing.
Okay, nice. Clem?
There's always a funny quote, and I hope I do service to it, but President Roosevelt was getting his shoe shined by his shoe shiner, and his shoe shiner was giving him stock advice, and he says he went upstairs and sold all of his stocks, and lo and behold, there was a crash. And he always says, when your shoe shine's giving you advice, you're in too deep, you know, the market's too hot. And I do think there's a slight element in Dubai where everyone is a real estate expert at the moment. You know, from your friend who's in a completely different industry to your hairdresser to your dog walker, everyone's got an opinion. And I think what is becoming more clear is that it's very important to be seeking sage advice in the market. Whether it's going up or down, it's narrowing the margin of opportunity. And I think it's important that you're working with a multidisciplinary agency who can help you make informed decisions. If you are buying now, there's still plenty of reasons to do so. How are you going to plan that exit? And does the company that you've bought with have ability to help you then? If you are perhaps buying a unit in a legacy area that's a little bit old and tired, do you have an agency who can help you maximise on the rent? What's it worth today if I don't modernise it? How much to modernise it? What's it worth if I do? Property maintenance contracts. So I think as the market gets a little bit hot, which it has done and is a little bit talked about, it is important the next steps you make. And that's only a good thing for a company like us.
I think you're right. And I think something you mentioned around trying to find like a good commentator to the market to help you. I can't turn on any social media without seeing some agency at some company saying that buy this now, you'll make 30, 40, 50, double your money in 3 years' time. For me, I read it and I'm like, it sounds too good to be true. It probably is. It seems like a bad investment. Are they telling the truth? Are they lying? Like what? Where does that balance lie when it comes to us predicting the future? Can you safely say to someone, Paul, you'll likely make 40% return on investment on this over the next 3 years? Would you be that confident with your words when speaking to an investor?
I think there's always got to be a caveat with whatever you say. I genuinely believe, you know, at the beginning of 21, when you could just feel something was happening in Dubai, that I would say for me personally in 2021, I was telling anybody who would listen, you've got to buy in Dubai this year. This is something is happening, something is going on. Fast forward to today, there's been the price rises, everything's gone up in value, there's been a huge amount of transactional business. So yes, the market might plateau, it might even correct a little bit in places, but if you're taking a 5 to 10 year view on Dubai, the UAE, the fundamentals and everything going for it is extremely strong. So stop having these 2 or 3 year view. You know, if you've got your savings plans and got your pensions, they're 10 to 20 years. Have a 5 to 10 year view on Dubai and you'll do very well.
Completely agree. And Jake, from the rental perspective, how are the tenants out there? Like, are they being pushed around? Are they being priced out? Are they frustrated, or are they just simply sitting still and trying to hold on as opposed to moving?
I think the prices have moved so much in the last 2 or 3 years that maybe people are now understanding that the waiting is not the best course of action. Maybe a couple of years ago you would have people saying that, and probably the most difficult tenants in the market are the ones that knew the market at a completely different price, that moved 2 or 3 years ago and understood that that's what they paid then and can't justify paying the new market rate. So those are the ones that are maybe moving slightly further afield to try and get like for like and see more value. New tenants that are coming to the market don't really know any different. This is the prices. When you turn up, you arrive and that's what you pay. So that's their market expectation. But even as people move further afield now, we're seeing more road networks improving, traffic calming measures, these developments popping up further afield with good accessibility. There's just so much more option in the market. And as Paul said, on a 5 to 10 year view, tenants that are moving to the market are turning into buyers much quicker. They're committing their future to Dubai much more quickly, and we can't see that changing. 50,000 people moved to Dubai in the first quarter of this year. We expect to surpass 4 million in population this year, and from all of us sat here, can we really see that stopping? Dubai is still a great place to live, so people will keep coming.
You think about it, we know that this is happening. If 100,000 to 200,000 people move here a year, it's going to put the population at 5 million by 2030. So anyone who says there's going to be too much property, I want to do the maths.
Get your calculators out. That's per Paul. Thanks, guys. Really insightful. 3 very, very wise people when it comes to real estate. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on our Q1 2025 market report deep dive. Whether you're an investor, homeowner, or just real estate curious, data, insights, and the right expert make all of the difference. Make sure to download the full Q1 2025 market reports and check out the House & House investment playbook for tailored strategies and smarter decisions. You can find everything at houseandhouse.com. Until next time, stay informed and stay ahead.